A new consumer alert for you this morning. Right now on our website, thousands of 2019 Mazda 3s are being recalled because the wheels could fall off. And seriously, it's due to lug nuts that are...
Across the U.S., 14 once popular vehicles are quietly collapsing. Sales are tanking, support is vanishing, and some models are disappearing without a word. We're not talking about obscure brands. These are cars you've seen in driveways, rentals, even your own garage. So what happened? Why are drivers walking away? And which names are being erased from the road right now? Is it the EV shift, bad engineering, or just a brutal market correction? Because by the time we reach the end, you'll know exactly which vehicles are falling apart in real time, and if yours is next. Mazda MX30. In an era where electric vehicles are becoming more common than ever, Mazda's first major attempt at joining the electric revolution, the MX30, turned out to be one of the biggest automotive misfires in recent memory. While other manufacturers were pushing boundaries with longer range, faster charging, and bolder design, Mazda took a very different and ultimately disastrous approach. The MX30 was released with a shockingly small battery pack, offering just 100 miles of range on a full charge. That's right, not 180, not 150, but a mere 100. For American drivers who are used to road trips, commutes, and the freedom to roam, this number was laughably low, especially in a segment where competitors like Hyundai, Chevrolet, and Ford were offering more than double the range at similar prices. The styling was sleek, and the interior carried Mazda's usual upscale touch, but none of that mattered when the car's core promise, electric mobility, fell flat. To make matters worse, the MX30 did not come with all-wheel drive, further limiting its appeal in colder states where traction matters just as much as tech. Add to that the fact that Mazda only made this vehicle available in select states like California and Oregon, and you're looking at a model that seemed designed to fail from the outset. In 2024, reports showed sales in the low hundreds, a complete disaster by any metric. Enthusiasts passed, commuters passed, even the eco-conscious crowd walked away. And with the electric segment growing more crowded by the day, there simply isn't room for a car that can't meet the basic expectations. Let's shift gears, because the next brand tried to bring Italian flair to American roads and ended up stalling hard. Fiat 500X. There was a time when small, quirky crossovers had their moment in the American spotlight, and the Fiat 500X rolled in hoping to ride that wave. With its European styling, bubbly design, and compact footprint, it had just enough charm to turn heads in urban neighborhoods. It looked different from everything else on the road, and that alone gave it a shot at capturing attention. But as every practical buyer knows, good looks mean nothing if the rest of the package doesn't hold up, and that's where the 500X failed to deliver. Under the hood, the car came equipped with engines that were neither exciting nor fuel efficient. Build quality inside was often described as cheap, with dated infotainment systems and materials that didn't feel built to last. Even worse, the reliability scores from real-world owners told a cautionary tale, one filled with electrical gremlins, suspension issues, and unexpected repairs before the car ever hit 50,000 miles. As buyers became more informed and competition in the compact crossover market exploded, the 500X slowly slipped into irrelevance. While Japanese and Korean automakers focused on refining ride quality and improving safety tech, Fiat didn't keep up, and customers noticed. In 2024, Fiat sold fewer than 2,000 units of the 500X across the entire United States. That's not a typo. When even rental companies and budget buyers begin walking away from a model, it becomes clear the end is near. With no major redesigns and no solid electrification plan on the horizon, this once promising crossover is now teetering on the edge of extinction. Buckle up, because we're heading into sedan territory, and this one used to own the middle of the road. If you've driven, owned, or even test-driven any of the cars we've covered so far, hit that like button and drop your experience in the comments. Your story might be the exact warning someone else needs before they make a big mistake. Let's turn this list into a conversation real drivers can actually learn from. Chevrolet Malibu. Once a dominant force on American highways and a household name in suburban driveways, the Chevrolet Malibu is now running on fumes, both literally and metaphorically. This midsize sedan used to symbolize dependable comfort and no-nonsense value, carving out a massive following among families, commuters, and rental fleets alike. Back in the early 2000s, the Malibu was a cornerstone in General Motors' lineup, with yearly sales soaring above the 200,000 mark. It was the car your uncle drove to work, your parents picked you up from school in, and what you'd often end up renting on on business trips. It was everywhere, but not anymore. As the automotive landscape shifted dramatically toward sport utility vehicles and crossover utility vehicles, the Malibu simply got left behind. Newer models from competing brands came out faster, smarter, and more efficient, while Chevrolet failed to invest in substantial updates for the Malibu. What was once a proud contender became stale. The exterior design stopped evolving, the cabin tech fell behind competitors, and the driving dynamics never made a leap forward. Meanwhile, Hyundai, Toyota, and Honda were busy reimagining what a mid-size sedan could be. In the year 2024, Chevrolet Malibu sales in the United States dropped to just over 80,000 units, a sharp contrast to the vehicle's glory days. And the writing is on the wall. General Motors has announced there will be no electric version of the Malibu and no meaningful redesign moving forward. This signals what many already suspected. The Malibu is heading toward discontinuation. It is not a matter of if, but when. Keep your eyes on the rearview, because this next vehicle is technically out of production, but still haunts dealership lots nationwide. Dodge Journey. You may not have seen a commercial for it in years, but chances are you've still spotted a Dodge Journey parked outside a grocery store or humming along in traffic. That's because even though production officially ended in 2020, this mid-size crossover continues to linger on lots, in fleets, and across used car listings all over the country. The Dodge Journey is a rare example of a vehicle that outlived its welcome. A rolling relic from a time when design, performance, and innovation took a backseat to simply cranking out units with a low sticker price. Originally introduced in the year 2008, the Journey started off with promise. It was supposed to be a family-friendly, budget-minded crossover with flexible seating and solid practicality. But year after year, Dodge allowed the model to fall further behind. While rivals from Honda, Toyota, and Ford were upgrading engines, improving fuel economy, and packing in the latest driver assistance features, the Journey coasted on outdated tech, a sluggish four-cylinder engine, and an interior that looked stuck in 2010. By the time it was discontinued in 2020, the Journey had become a punchline, a vehicle known more for rental car lots and markdown sales than for performance or safety. Even after its official end, Dodge continued distributing leftover inventory well into the following year, keeping the Journey visible even as its relevance plummeted. In its final year, it sold just over 48,000 units in the United States, a steep drop from earlier highs in the 100,000 range. From aging SUVs to bold design missteps, our next entry proves that looking cool doesn't mean driving smart. Toyota CHR. Flashy design alone might catch someone's eye at the dealership, but it takes more than bold lines and funky headlights to win over American drivers. Enter the Toyota CHR, a compact crossover that tried to stand out in a crowded segment by doubling down on looks while quietly skimping on the things that matter most to real-world buyers. When it first arrived in the United States in the year 2017, the CHR seemed like a bold move from Toyota. It brought a concept car-like appearance straight to the showroom, with hidden rear door handles, sharp angles, and coupe-inspired curves. But once buyers got past the exterior, the appeal began to fade fast. From the start, the Toyota CHR lacked versatility. With no all-wheel drive, sluggish power, tight rear seating, and limited cargo space, it failed to meet practical needs. Even loyal Toyota fans found its design compromises hard to justify in everyday driving. By the time the calendar turned to 2024, the writing was already on the wall. Sales dipped well below the 50,000 mark nationwide, and Toyota quietly discontinued the model in North America. Its spiritual successor, the Corolla Cross, now outsells it many times over, offering a more practical layout, available all-wheel drive, and a better value proposition. Let's dive into the budget end of the spectrum, where even the cheapest car in America is struggling to survive. Nissan Versa. For years, the Nissan Versa held one major bragging right. It was the most affordable brand new car you could buy in the United States, and that title alone kept it on life support for longer than anyone expected. But in the modern market, where buyers expect even economy cars to offer comfort, technology, and reliability, rock-bottom pricing simply isn't enough anymore. The Versa might have once been the go-to for budget-conscious drivers, but in 2024, it's fast becoming irrelevant in a market that's rapidly moving past bare-bones sedans. Originally introduced in the early 2000s, the Nissan Versa was built for one purpose: affordability. And to be fair, it accomplished that. For under $20,000, you could get 4 doors, a trunk, and a brand new warranty. But corners had to be cut to reach that price point. The base models came stripped down, with hard plastic interiors, minimal sound insulation, and sluggish acceleration. And while it did receive a redesign in the year 2020, the upgrades weren't enough to pull it into the modern era. Safety features remained basic, the infotainment system fell several steps behind, and long-term durability reliability started raising red flags for budget buyers who couldn't afford surprise repair bills. Add to that growing competition from better-equipped used vehicles and aggressive pricing from Korean brands like Kia and Hyundai, and the Versa's value proposition starts to collapse. Sales in 2024 dropped below 35,000 units in the United States, a huge decline compared to its heyday. Nissan has made no announcement about discontinuing the model yet, but if trends continue, it may not survive much longer. The badge might say luxury, but our next car proves that prestige without progress is a losing game. BMW 2 Series Gran Coupe. Luxury used to be about more than just the logo on the grille. But when German automaker Bayerische Motorenwerke, better known as BMW, introduced the 2 Series Gran Coupe, many loyal fans quickly realized that not all BMWs are created equal. Designed to offer an affordable entry point into the premium segment, the 2 Series Gran Coupe aimed to give buyers that high-end feel without the high-end cost. Unfortunately, what it delivered instead was a watered-down experience that left critics and customers underwhelmed, and in many cases, flat-out disappointed. Unlike its performance-focused siblings, the 2 Series Gran Coupe rides on a front-wheel drive platform, a major departure from BMW's long-standing rear-wheel drive heritage. That decision alone turned off a huge portion of the enthusiast base. While the company tried to justify the change by pointing to practicality and efficiency, the result was a car that felt more like a dressed-up economy sedan than a true ultimate driving machine. The interior, though clean and modern, leaned heavily on shared parts and switchgear, found in more budget-oriented models within the BMW group. Under the hood, the base engine struggled to deliver a dynamic experience, and even the upgraded trims failed to match the refinement expected at this price point. In 2024, sales in the United States dropped below 28,000 units, a stark contrast to BMW's stronger-selling 3 and 5 Series sedans. More troubling, depreciation hit the 2 Series Gran Coupe hard, with resale values falling faster than competitors in the same class. Crossing the pond to Britain, we find a legacy nameplate that once stood for elegance. Now it's barely standing at all. Jaguar XF. Not long ago, the Jaguar XF stood as a symbol of refined British engineering, a sleek and dignified mid-size luxury sedan with all the right curves and just enough power to make you feel like royalty behind the wheel. It had presence, it had pedigree, but somewhere along the road, the XF lost its way, and in 2024, it's dangerously close to disappearing from the American automotive landscape altogether. A car that once turned heads at stoplights is now barely registering on buyer radars, even among loyal enthusiasts. Launched in 2007, the Jaguar XF aimed to blend luxury and performance. Initially promising, it fell behind as rivals improved. Outdated tech, average ride quality, and Jaguar's weak reliability reputation led to declining interest, despite minor updates in 2021. By the time 2024 rolled around, Jaguar sold fewer than 2,000 units of the XF in the United States, a number so low it would barely register for most mainstream brands. In fact, Jaguar now offers just one model for American buyers, the F-Pace Sport Utility Vehicle. Everything else, including the XF, has been shelved or quietly phased out. Despite its elegant design and storied nameplate, this car couldn't keep up with a luxury segment that demands innovation, consistency, and brand trust. What happens when a truck tries to be everything for everyone? Our next vehicle has the answer, and it's not pretty. Honda Ridgeline. When Honda first introduced the Ridgeline back in the year 2005, it made waves for doing things differently. While other mid-sized trucks followed the traditional body-on-frame, rear-wheel drive formula, the Ridgeline arrived with a unibody design, independent rear suspension, and front-wheel drive as standard. It wasn't your average pickup, and that was both its strength and its downfall. Nearly 2 decades later, in 2024, the Honda Ridgeline finds itself drifting further from relevance in a market that demands more muscle, more utility, and more character from its trucks. Honda pitched the Ridgeline as a smarter, smoother pickup alternative, blending comfort with innovation. But traditional truck buyers wanted toughness and utility. With lower towing capacity, no low-range gearing, and a crossover-like design, the Ridgeline never truly won over core truck loyalists. By 2024, annual sales in the United States had slumped to just over 39,000 units, far behind rivals like the Toyota Tacoma and Ford Ranger. Despite minor refreshes and strong reliability ratings, the Ridgeline remained stuck in the middle, too soft for die-hard truck fans and too bulky for crossover shoppers. Now we turn to a hatchback that used to dominate American streets, until it was left behind in the sport utility vehicle storm. Volkswagen Golf. Once the undisputed king of the hot hatch world, the Volkswagen Golf is now quietly fading from the American car market, a victim of shifting consumer tastes, corporate strategy, and tough competition. For decades, the Golf nameplate represented practical fun, whether it was the base model with its refined ride or the legendary GTI trim delivering punchy turbocharged performance. The Golf was a car you could count on to blend everyday usability with genuine driving enjoyment. But by the time 2024 arrived, Volkswagen's beloved hatchback was on life support in the United States. Debuting in 1974 as the Rabbit, the Golf won hearts with sharp handling and European charm. But as sport utility vehicles surged in popularity, hatchbacks like the Golf lost appeal, lacking the space, height, and flexibility modern American buyers now demand. In 2021, Volkswagen pulled the plug on the standard Golf trims in the US, keeping only the high-performance GTI and Golf R variants. And while those enthusiast models still exist, sales have continued to slide. By the end of 2024, total Golf sales in the United States dropped below 19,000 units, a far cry from the model's peak decades earlier. With minimal marketing support and a narrowing fan base, even the GTI is struggling to stay relevant. Here's a twist. A once mighty American automaker now depends on one minivan to stay alive, and even that's on shaky ground. Chrysler Pacifica. In an industry built on constant innovation and model variety, Chrysler has found itself backed into a corner with just a single vehicle left in its consumer lineup, the Pacifica. Once a household name among American automakers, Chrysler is now barely holding on in 2024, and the Pacifica, a minivan once praised for its forward-thinking design, is starting to show the strain of carrying an entire brand on its shoulders. First launched in 2004 and reborn in 2017, the Chrysler Pacifica impressed with comfort, family features, and a plug-in hybrid option. But as buyers shifted to three-row sport utility vehicles, even strong minivans like the Pacifica began losing ground. Over time, the Pacifica's once cutting-edge appeal began to fade. Updates slowed, quality control concerns began to surface, and more buyers started opting for alternatives like the Toyota Sienna and Honda Odyssey. Dealership coverage also became spotty as franchise closures swept across smaller markets. In 2024, Pacifica sales hovered just above 52,000 units in the United States, a steep decline from earlier highs in the 80,000 range. With no new Chrysler models on the horizon and the cancellation of its long-hyped electric concept vehicle, the Airflow, the writing is on the wall. The Pacifica isn't just Chrysler's last car standing, it may be the brand's final chapter. Shifting into the luxury lane, this next car had the power and the looks, but couldn't outrun its past or its problems. Infiniti Q50. Every luxury brand has its moment in the spotlight, and for Infiniti, that moment came during the early 2010s. Back then, the Infiniti Q50 was seen as a bold alternative to the usual German suspects, blending muscular styling with rear-wheel drive dynamics and a price tag that undercut rivals like the BMW 3 Series and Audi A4. It had the power, it had the attitude, and for a while, it had a growing fan base. But as we move through 2024, the Q50 has become a shadow of its former self, quietly slipping out of relevance in a market that has moved on without it. Launched in 2013 as the G-Series successor, the Infiniti Q50 impressed early with strong performance and bold looks, but outdated tech, a dated interior, and lack of innovation left it behind as competitors advanced and Infiniti's presence faded. In 2024, US sales of the Infiniti Q50 dropped below 19,000 units, a devastating fall from earlier years when annual numbers routinely exceeded 50,000. With no hybrid or electric variant in sight and no full redesign planned, the Q50 is running out of road fast. Some cars steal your heart, then break it. Our next entry is a performance beauty that turned into an ownership burden. Alfa Romeo Giulia. Some cars are born to be admired, and the Alfa Romeo Giulia is exactly that. Sculpted like a piece of rolling art and blessed with sharp driving dynamics that even German rivals respect, the Giulia had all the makings of a modern sports sedan legend. On paper, it checked every box: rear-wheel drive performance, seductive styling, and that unique flair only an Italian badge can deliver. But as the years rolled by, something became painfully clear to American buyers. Beautiful looks and thrilling handling can't cover up mechanical headaches, spotty dealer support, and poor long-term reliability. And now, in 2024, the Giulia is on the verge of being written off in the United States. Alfa Romeo returned to the US with the Giulia in 2017, aiming to revive its legacy. While the Quadrifoglio thrilled drivers, reliability issues and limited dealer support turned ownership into a hassle, dimming the car's shine despite its impressive performance credentials. By the end of 2024, Alfa Romeo sold fewer than 9,000 Giulias in the United States. The brand has since cut back trims, halted aggressive marketing, and remains quiet on future investments for the model. As resale values continue to tumble and competitors evolve, the Giulia feels more like a missed opportunity than a rising star. And finally, we arrive at the #1 collapse, an all-American icon that fell from greatness into near irrelevance. If this video helps you see the market more clearly, make sure you hit subscribe. We're breaking down real car trends that most people won't hear about until it's too late. No hype, just the facts you need to protect your money and make smarter moves. Stick with us, and you'll always be one step ahead. Nissan Altima. It was once a staple of American driveways, a household name parked proudly beside every two-car garage across the country. The Nissan Altima symbolized dependable family transportation, affordable, stylish enough, and loaded with just enough features to keep everyone happy. But that was then. Fast forward to 2024, and the Altima is a far cry from its golden days. Once battling head-to-head with the Toyota Camry and the Honda Accord for mid-size dominance, the Altima is now quietly fading into the background as buyers flock toward crossovers, hybrids, and electric vehicles. The Altima peaked in the early 2010s with over 240,000 annual sales, trusted by commuters and families. But lacking hybrid tech and modern upgrades, it fell behind rivals. Even the 2019 update couldn't stop its steady decline. In 2024, US sales dropped to under 95,000 units, less than half of what it once achieved. Even more telling is that resale values have started to nosedive, and dealer incentives continue to rise as Nissan tries desperately to move inventory. With no hybrid Altima available and no electric variant planned, its place in the future feels more uncertain than ever. And there you have it, 14 car models collapsing in plain sight. If you own one, it might be time to plan your next move. If you're shopping, keep watching. There's more to come. You've just seen 14 car models that are collapsing right now across the United States. And if you're still driving one or thinking about buying one, now you know what's really at stake. Don't wait until resale tanks, parts vanish, or support dries up. Hit that like button if this saved you from a mistake. Drop a comment if you've experienced any of these firsthand, and make sure to subscribe. We've got more breakdowns coming on the cars worth buying and the ones quietly headed for disaster. Stick with us, and you'll always stay one step ahead.